Thank you. Good morning, and welcome to Interfaith Spiritual Center Worldwide, where we believe there's a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and we can what? We can use it. That's why I'm in this way of life. So as I welcome you this morning, and I welcome our viewing audience, that nothing happens by chance, that we are here because we heard a call, we answered, we have a divine appointment. Ask, and ye shall receive. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and the door shall be opened unto you, because they who ask receive. And they who seek find, and they who knock, the door is always opened. On this Easter Sunday, the year of our Lord, 2011, we are experiencing so many things on the planet. We are experiencing our own personal transformations. We are experiencing the transformation of the planet. I feel that critical mass is being experienced as the collective consciousness rises and everything else flows into its native nothingness from whence it came. And I am in this way of life because I deeply believe at a DNA cellular level that the good always rises up and is triumphant and victorious. When Mary went to the tomb and the rock had been rolled aside and no one was there and she was crying, and a voice said, "Why do you cry?" And she said, "My master, they have stolen him." And the voice said, "Oh, he is risen as he said he would." And every time we rise above circumstances, conditions, appearances, and effects, we roll away the tomb. We arise triumphant and victorious over the experience of the everyday things that we bring into our life to grow and to unfold in miraculous ways. And it's not to beat ourselves up with. It's to look at our life and say, I've drawn this in. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm unfolding, I'm expanding, I'm becoming all that I can be. And in this life experience, once we put our foot on the path, there is no going back. When it's 6:30 on the evolutionary clock, the pull to 12 is so strong that it becomes involuntary. There is no going back to the way that it was, because we have our foot on the spiritual path. And that as we begin to grow and unfold and draw the things in our lives that need to be healed, and in our way of life, as we draw these things in, we shift the energy so that we can transform what our experience is. We are told, "Be not conformed to the things of this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, by the renewing of your life." So what that means for us on a daily basis is that there is a consciousness out there that we can be so sucked into. We can turn on the news and go, "Oh my God," and get that feeling inside of us. That every time I see something like that, every tsunami, earthquake, natural disaster, I affirm at the deepest level that we are being cleansed, purified, harmonized, balanced, attuned, and heightened. This is all part of the cleansing, purification process. And the planet is going through it as well. So on this Easter Sunday, as we come together, be not conformed to the things of this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of our minds, of our lives, recognizing that my daily life is my temple and my religion. You just heard, "I Don't Know How to Love Him," the song, the beautiful song that Mary Magdalene sings in Jesus Christ Superstar. And in the beautiful works by Khalil Gibran, Jesus the Son of Man, he has a beautiful dissertation in which Mary, there's a beautiful part for Mary. And she said that she sees this man and that his body was beautiful and each part seemed to love every other part. And she said, "I cried out to him and said, 'Won't you come into my house?' And he said, 'Am I not already in your house?' All men love you for what you look like. I love you for you. I am already in your house. I see in you a beauty that when the autumn of your years come, shall not be offended when it gazes at itself in the mirror. I alone see the unseen in you. And she said, on that day, he slew the dragon in me, and I became just a woman. I became Miriam of Magdala. And as we come together to acknowledge that that energy, the unseen in us, that which is within us, is greater than that which resides in the world. I was recently interviewed for a magazine, and she wanted to know all about my life. And as I was sharing my life experience, she says, I'm just bowled over, because I would never ever suspect any of this. And she said, did you ever feel that you wanted to give up? And I said, once I put my foot on the path, and that it was 6:30 on the evolutionary clock, giving up was not an option for me. Moving forward, confronting each thing that needed to be confronted, the things that we bring into our lives so that we may grow and unfold and move past them without blaming the things outside of us. Those are the things that we've called in so that we can grow and unfold. To put anyone responsible for our good is to give our power away. The ancient ones, the indigenous people say, stand in your power circle. Do not bleed energy to the right or to the left. Stand fast in your power circle. And as we begin to take responsibility for our lives, as we begin to acknowledge that yes, this experience is not here. It has risen. I have risen past and above it. It is no longer appropriate in my life. Dr. Ernest Holmes has said that what is death but the impatient gesture of the soul to rid itself of a body it no longer needs? And so the cocoon moves into the butterfly, the expression of that chrysalis. And we become a new form because it is a new day. And we are experiencing so much on the planet. And last Sunday when Dennis remarked that his partner Kent was in ICU, and I went to ICU, and then I walked in and the nurse said, oh, you got some ladies here to see you. And in his little voice, you know, hooked up to all kinds of tubes, he said, that's my minister. And we spoke our word. And with all the tubes, to see beyond the tubes and to all the expression, to the beauty of the soul that's there. The energy that this is an experience and it's temporary. It's not the truth of him. And when I came out, the nurse took me aside and she said, I want you to know that he is a very lucky, lucky man. And I said, well, you know, I'm grateful for luck, but we think consciousness is everything. That we go through our dark night of the soul so that we can come out on the other side. And when we come out on the other side, we can share our story with others. And I said to this interview, no, giving up was never an option for me once I put my foot on the path. Once I knew that I knew that I knew not even the gates of hell would prevail against me. And we all go through all the experiences, the everyday experiences. I remember reading a story about a minister who went into his son's room and he said, you know, I'm really concerned about your grades. And I'm really concerned about what's going on, and you've just asked to borrow the family car, you know, and I want to make a deal with you. And so he made a deal with his son. He said, I would like you to get your grades up. I'd like you to familiarize yourself with the Bible. And he said, and I'd like your attitude to shift, and I'd like you to get a haircut. So time went on. Son went to his dad. And he said, you know, here's my grades. The grades were up. How's my attitude been? It's been really great. And he said, you've been keeping your room clean. And he said, but one thing concerns me. He said, you know, you didn't get the haircut. And he said, well, I was thinking about that as you had me read the Bible. I read that, you know, Moses had long hair. Noah had long hair. Joshua had long hair. Aaron had long hair. Samson had long hair. And even Jesus had long hair. And his father said, yes, and they walked everywhere they went. So we do make deals with life. And as we make our deals with life, and we feel tested, we are really giving ourselves the test. And that I know that I've passed my test when I don't need to react to certain things that in the past would have really affected me. And I think, girl, you have grown, good one, you know, and the more we unfold in the truth that sets us free, Jesus said, I have come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. More life. How great is that? More life. Isn't that what we want? We want more life, more vitality. We want the energy of vitality and the knowingness that I feel wonderful and that I am in the world, and yet I'm of a higher spiritual vibration. And that as I went through that interview, certain things came up for me that I got to look at, and I got to draw the larger circle again, and to realize that every life path has its initiations, that we're all candidates. And that as we pass each initiation, we move on to the next and the next and the next. We never arrive. We loved our metaphysical Seder because our Rabbi Coleman sat there and said, you know, I share these things with you. These were my family things. This is the energy of a prayer shawl that I found. And he demonstrated that it could also be used as a wedding canopy. He shared about his mother, that her whole family, no one escaped. No one escaped the Holocaust. She was the sole survivor and wept at the table. And we wept with him because of man's inhumanity to man. The energy that does not serve us. The energy that allows us to weep. What affects one affects all. And when I went into my first metaphysical church, and I was 21 years old, and feeling very, very insecure, and still working through being raised in a very abusive alcoholic home. And when that minister said, if there's anyone here this morning that possibly cried themselves to sleep last night, this word is for you. And suddenly my heart opened, and I could weep tears of joy. I could feel the energies melt of that past. I could remember energetically who I was and what I came in to do. And so every service, I always mention, this is for you if you cried yourselves to sleep last night. Because every tear that falls, a flower grows in consciousness and opens our hearts so that we can be there one for another. And when we get that, there is a whole opening for us. And as we allow that energy to come forth, we can be as the little child. And you know, my very, 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 very favorite story is about the little girl drawing the picture of God and the teacher saying, no one knows what God looks like. She says, they will when I finish. That's right. Our God is personal to us, and I love that little story. Because our God is personal to us, right? Our God is absolutely personal. And that energetically, what blesses one, blesses all. So on this Easter service, as we come together, and we recognize that we go through our cleansings and our purifications, our harmonizing and balancing our energies to move to the next level. That as we address the issues as they come up and embrace ourselves for our humanness, releasing it and allowing the Christ consciousness to arise triumphant and victorious. And as we do that, something is absolutely quickened inside of us. One thing I notice about my little 2-year-old grandson is that he's just so spontaneous. And that spontaneity of the little child that recognizes that you are my friend, and you are my friend, and you are my friend. That is the child that is loved, the child that is within us, that moves past color, race, creed, and sexual orientation. Because our God is a God of oneness. It is all-inclusive. And what I'm going to share with you, I was asked if I was going to share with you about the 3 trees. And of course, this is one of our favorite Easter classics about the 3 trees. and that they were all standing in the forest together, and they were speaking amongst one another. And the one tree said, when it's my time to be cut, I want to be a beautiful treasure chest where queens and kings will store their gems, and I will have diamonds and rubies, and I will be admired from far and near. This is my goal. And the second tree said, oh no, I want to be, when I am felled, I want to be a great ship. I want to carry all nobility across the high seas. I want to know that my hull can absolutely ford any storm. And the third tree said, oh, I want to be the tallest tree in the forest. I want to grow and grow and grow. And time went on and time passed. And the lumberjacks came. And they cut down the first tree, and as it fell to the ground, it quivered in its energy field and thought, ah, now I shall be a great and beautiful treasure chest. I shall house rubies and diamonds and beautiful jewels. All will admire me. And the second tree was cut down. And as the second tree was cut down, it thought, at last, I am going to be a great ship. And they were taken away. But the first tree was made into just a feed box, and his dreams were dashed forever. The second tree was made into just a little fishing boat, and his dreams were dashed forever. And the third tree was just cut down and felled, and he knew that he would never grow to be the great and wonderful beacon on the hill. But as time passed, a couple came, the woman gave birth. She saw this feed box. She laid the child in it. And the tree thought, ah, I am carrying the greatest treasure that ever lived. And soon some men were out on the oceans, and a storm came, and they cried out. And as they cried out, energetically, the man was awakened that was asleep in the boat and said, peace, be still, and the waves calmed. And the third tree was taken to the mount. And the man was nailed to the cross. And he said to the man on to the right, today thou wilt be with me in paradise. And the tree thought, my destiny was to carry the energy of this Christed one. No greater gift could I be given. And so today I share that story with you, because if your life hasn't turned out exactly as you thought it would, it's because God has another plan for each and every one of you. God bless you. I love you. And what I know is we are going higher yet. Where are we going?
Higher yet.
Where?
Higher yet.
Higher yet. Namaste.